This is a 1963 and a half Galaxie Fastback. It's a Galaxie 500, and it's an R code. I started the video with the engine running. It unfortunately doesn't have the original engine in it. It's got a 302 with a C4, and just the battery, it's been so cold, the battery's just not strong enough to crank it right now. I had to jump it. But I wanted you to know that the engine in it runs good and that the transmission shifts good. So it's got a good little 302 in it, and I think somebody could take this out, throw it in a Mustang or another vehicle, and it seems to run good, drive really good. It doesn't, when I pulled the car up on the trailer, it grabbed a hold of the of one of the cherry bomb mufflers on there, so you can hear that the you know, that the muffler's not on there. It sounds kind of cool, of course. So you can hear that the engine runs good and it runs strong, but anybody who's really into this car and is going to spend the money on it doesn't care about that engine. It's going to make somebody an extra $500 or $700 when they pull it out and sell it or put it in another vehicle, because you're buying this car because it's an R code. They only made 400 of them, and that's the big deal. So anyways, so I just wanted to do that right at the beginning, kind of get that out of the way. So here we go. We've got a 1963 and a half Galaxie R code Fastback, unrestored, and you know, there's always a story on these old cars. You don't get the documentation on people's old man stories, so they could be made up, it could be true, but supposedly the car has 57,684 original miles, and supposedly the guy that we picked this vehicle up from got it from the original owner's son. The guy said he bought it brand new. His dad bought it brand new from the dealership, and sorry about that, you got a little bird doo-doo on there, unfortunately. And that it's not been restored, never been painted, never been restored. I'm sorry, I take that back. Has been painted because the original color was like a burgundy color. So anyways, everything's here except for the engine, transmission. Everything's here on the car. So first and foremost, we've got our tags. I did stick a little camera down inside here, a little flashlight, and inside right here you've got a tag. The VIN number matches on that tag. Matches the VIN number on this tag, which of course is the same tags. Matches the VIN number on this tag. Of course, you can see all these photos in the still photography. So all three tags match. I believe that that's the original color. It's kind of a burgundy color, or a maroonish color. So anyways, the body on the car is super straight. The vehicle's always been garage kept, and your typical rust spots, there's almost no rust on the car at all. There's a couple of minor spots, and I'm going to see if I can try and find them with you. I had one guy come, a collector, and climb all around this car. He was not looking to buy it for himself, but possibly someone else. Super, super clean. Of course, your hinges, you know, this is a car that needs to be restored. You want to get a 427 engine, you want to get the 4-speed manual transmission and get it back in the car and restore the car and have a very high dollar car. So like I said, body lines are straight. Now the trim on the outside that's on the car right now, somebody used screws to put it back on. So inside the car, there's a whole nother set of trim. Really, the trim that's on it right now is pretty much worthless, and somebody screwed a bunch of screws into it. I left the trunk popped because it doesn't have the lock on it right now, and so just for the sake of the video, I left the trunk popped. Hinges hold the trunk up nicely, and actually inside the trunk, his paint looks good. No rust on the lip. You can see in the still photos, I took a lot of photos inside the trunk, but there's no there's extremely minimal rust. There is one spot here, it looks like I didn't catch on the still photography, is where somebody put some duct tape on it and sprayed. There's the one spot of rust that I found on the car right there. In fact, I'll go ahead and take this out and throw it away. So there you go, one spot of rust right there. Other than that, the rest of the trunk's clean. Usually they rust out here That's all nice. Trunk's filled with all kinds of extra parts. The original 427 tags for the car. These are the gold ones. Those are the originals. Very rare. The trunk, the gas can lid or gas cap lid, all this stuff. Like I said, a lot of extra parts in here. This side, it looks good, not rusted like the other side. And like I said, take a look at the still photography. You can see the trunk is in very, very good shape. And I believe that, yeah, there you go. Trunk locks like it's supposed to. It just doesn't have a lock on it, so I'm not going to get it back open now without a screwdriver. So body line straight. Now going back over it again, we'll get a little closer on it and see inside. The fender wells look really clean. I'm telling you, this is a very minimal rust vehicle. A couple of little bubbles here on the bottom of the door. Rockers look nice and clean. Usually when I inspect a car, I inspected it with my hands more than I do my eyes. There's a little spot of rust right there. And a couple of little spots right there where there was probably a little bit of Bondo put on there. But all solid. I've gone around it with a magnet too. My buddy Frank did, and you can see a little bit of filler right there. But this car is not a Bondo bucket. Nobody filled this thing all the way up. All the way around the back. One little tiny spot right there. And this is a vehicle that's going to be restored with all the original metal. There's no need to replace any fenders, quarters, anything like that. A couple of little bubbles along the bottom here. One crack right there. I'm being super picky because I know whoever's trying to buy this car is going to want to know every little thing about it. There's a crack right there. There's a crack right there underneath the door. And two little spots on the bottom of that door. So I'm trying to eagle eye it for you with the camera right now. Spot right there. Just little stuff. Now the stuff that I'm showing you, you can see there's probably some body work. This is from where maybe there was a couple little minor things before the guy painted it. Underneath the car. Frame rails look perfect. Zero rust on the frame rails. These are your original floor pans. They look to be in good shape overall. Rockers look good. Just now down here on this back portion of the rocker, looks like there was a little bit of Bondo work done here and there was some rust. And there maybe still is some rust here. And this is, like I said, this is the one spot I showed you in the trunk. It's got some rust in it. Original rear end, that's the 9-inch rear end. That's the rare one that only goes on a 427R code. Underneath you can see that the trunk pan still looks really good. There's one little tiny rust hole right there. Super clean. Back seat. All the metal from there. The bottom, the back of the trunk pan looks really good. Like I said, frame rails all look really good here. 7 bands on your original leaf springs with the 7 bands on it, as it should be for an R code. Oversized drum brakes for the R code. I know there's those little things that everybody's looking for and want to call me and ask me about. I think, you know, the biggest tip off that it's real is you've got all 3 of your VIN tags that are matching. A little bit of Bondo work here on the bottom of this rocker. Frame to body supports are good. Frame to body bolts, I mean, original floor pans, I think, throughout. Might have been some 2 little minor patches up front. I'm trying to go slow with the camera so you can really get a good idea. Probably 95% of the cars we sell go out of state, and we usually ship them all out. So I always try and observe the golden rule. Show people everything, any issues, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Do a thorough examination. Your floor pans. Like I said, that was like a bolt on. You can see the other exhaust pipe where it fell off. I've got it, but I don't think anybody's going to care about that anyways. So anyways, interior parts are all there. I know I'm running a little long on this video, but just think that the car deserves it. Original interior, never restored. Seat's not bolted down. Carpet actually doesn't look bad. I don't know if somebody put new carpet in it, probably. Like I said, it's got C4 transmission in it. Lights, front lights work. The rear lights are not hooked up. All your original dash components here. No headliner. I mean, you're going to want to do a full restoration on this car. So, there you have it. It's a privilege to have this in the shop, even though it's in unrestored condition. It's this is not much more than a barn find at this point. I mean, it's an unrestored Galaxie. I think it'll be a really cool opportunity for somebody to buy this car and restore it. I wish we could. I'm just not in a position today where I want to do that. I'm just not fully restoring cars right now. If I was, this is probably one of my top 10 cars that I would like to restore. I'd love to do a couple of R-Code Mustangs as well, and maybe a Yenko car or something like that. But this is up there. These are really cool. They're really rare. They're really desirable NASCAR cars. This is basically, and most people know this, if you're shopping at this car, you're watching this video, you know this. This is basically a NASCAR 1963 and a half NASCAR car you could buy at the dealership. I mean, this was a race car out of the box. And when this thing is fully restored, it'd be really, really sweet to have.